Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shemate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the 11th chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as The Teachings of Jadabharata. So I'll do a quick recap of what we have seen till now in this particular chapter. So we saw the whole conversation that happened in the previous chapter. I'll do a very small recap of that. Jadabharata has been forcibly engaged to carry the palanquin. He does not carry it properly, and Rahuguna becomes very angry. He chastises Jadabharata in a very sarcastic way. Jadabharata continues to carry it the same way. Again, he becomes very angry. He very severely chastises him in very sarcastic words and threatens to punish him. And Jadabharata responds by telling that you are speaking on the platform of body. This is not the, intelligent people don't speak like this. Conventional reality is insubstantial. You should not be speaking like this. And immediately after hearing this, Rahuguna becomes he understands that, oh, here is an exalted personality. We did not notice that he was so exalted, and he immediately fell at his feet, begged for forgiveness, but then sought clarification. How can you say that conventional reality is so insubstantial? When I carry something that then I definitely do become, uh, you know, tired, just like and I have seen this in others also. So similarly, you must also be becoming tired. Why why should that be not true? Huh? So this is my experience. This is my experience of myself. This is my experience of others. Um, and yes, I do understand that the body is different from soul, and the adhyatmic, adibhautik, adidaivic kleshas are experienced by the gross body. But despite that, it is only but the subtle body is very closely connected to the gross body. The soul is very closely connected to the subtle body. So because of the close proximity of connection, the soul will also be affected by the affliction of the gross body and the subtle body. So therefore, to say that it is completely insubstantial is not correct. I'm not able to understand how you are completely trivializing it completely. So if it is happening to me, then it should be happening to you. And then Rahuguna had told that initially that I am the master, you are the servant. How come you are not serving me? And in response, Jadabharata said, "Oh, are you sure that this servant-master relationship is permanent?" And um, in response to that, uh, Jadabharata told, or Rahuguna asked that. Yes, I do agree that the servant master relationship is temporary, but at least while it is temporary, should it not be followed? Otherwise, there will be anarchy. Do you think a king should stop ruling? A Brahmana should stop guiding the Kshatriyas, all because it is just conventional reality and not absolute reality? Why do you say like that? Like that it was mentioned. And uh, then Jadabharata had also told that, you said you wanted to punish me. Can't you see that I am a self-realized soul? Or can't you even see that I am acting like a mentally retarded person? So whether you evaluate me as a self-realized soul or a mentally retarded person, either way, what do you intend to accomplish by punishing such a person? Okay. Like that he had mentioned, and Rahuguna clarified that I'm very sorry, I did not realize that you are a self-realized person. And and fallen householder like myself who has been completely absorbed in householder dharma, it is very difficult to recognize the position of a very exalted soul like yourself. So please forgive me. Like that, the previous chapter ended. Okay. And in this chapter, Jadabharata started by telling, Raguna, though you are speaking like a learned man, you are actually a fool. Why? Because the wise do not speak of the material world by discerning it to be the truth. You are claiming the material world and its objects to be the concluding truths by giving example of the pot and sweet rice. But this example is inappropriate. Why is it inappropriate? Because there is real connection between the fire and the pot. Or you can say in our analogy, the way we translated the analogy, there is a real connection between the soul, between the um, rice and the milk. Okay, that's where we are talking about the soul and the subtle body. So the rice is the soul, milk is the subtle body, the pot is the gross body, and fire is the adhyatmika, the bhautika, and the adhidaivic kleshas. Okay. So he says that there is contact between the rice and milk, but in reality, there is no connection between the liberated soul and the body. Okay. Therefore, for a liberated soul, fatigue of the body does not necessarily translate into fatigue of the Atma. So therefore, your inference and your analogy and everything fails. Okay. It all fails because um, you cannot say that you, the conditioned soul, are the same as me, the liberated soul. That you, the conditioned soul, are not the same as me, the liberated soul. But someone may say, oh, but the Vedas are filled with knowledge. If this is insubstantial thing, then why the Vedas, which are considered to be the greatest of all Pramanas, why are they filled with knowledge of karma, about especially Sakama karma, how to live in this world, enjoy in this world? Why is the why are the Vedas filled with this knowledge? He says, yes, that is true. Uh, it is filled with it. But discussions of the absolute truth generally do not arise in the Vedas, which is filled with proliferation of household life. This is because most people are not qualified to understand the topics of the absolute truth. They are qualified only to understand the means of enjoying in this material world and not more than that. Then the question is, then who is qualified or not qualified for understanding the absolute truth? He says, a person who is completely convinced of the inferiority of material life in this material world, only such a person can understand the subject matter of the absolute truth, not a person who is very eager to enjoy in this material world and who has not figured out the inferior position of material enjoyment. Such a person cannot understand uh, the subject matter of the absolute truth. Then the question arises, but why is it that people, in spite of being enlightened about on this subject matter by the devotees, why do they still continue to engage in activities of material happiness? Why? So the answer is that this is because the man's mind, being bound by the three modes, continues to engage him in pious and impious activities through the senses. Hmm. It is the mind. As long as the mind is in touch with the three modes, it continues to engage him in dharma and adharma. And this mind is endowed with pious and sinful vasanas, And the nature of this mind is to get attached to the sense objects. And this mind is the cause of transmigration from one species to the other species. And this mind creates the unavoidable distress and happiness in due course of time. But then the question arises, mind is inanimate. How can inanimate mind create anything? The explanation was that, well, actually the jiva is the original cause, but the mind, because of its close proximity with the jiva, becomes an instrument in creating the happiness and distress. Like we were seeing yesterday, mind does not experience the emotions, material emotions, but mind, in conjunction with the jiva, makes the jiva experience material emotions. Okay. So without the jiva, the mind cannot do that. And without the mind, without the material mind, the jiva will not relate with material emotions. So it is the jiva who experiences material emotions, but through the agency of material mind. Through the agency of material mind. Okay, we saw the example of electricity and refrigerator. Okay. So refrigerator in itself cannot cool without electricity. One electricity is needed. But electricity itself cannot cool without the refrigerator. So the jiva in itself cannot experience material emotions without the agency of the mind. And the mind, by nature being um, uh, the mind, because by nature is material, it cannot experience emotions like that. So the samsara created by the mind manifests as the practical material world, and this is constantly witnessed by the knower of the field, that is the jiva. So in the same way, the happiness, so the samsara is created by the mind, and the happiness of self-realization is also created by the mind. Therefore, the mind is both the cause of the bondage and liberation of the living entity. But then the question arises, how can the one mind be the cause of two different states, bondage and liberation? He says, mind attached to the gunas becomes the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the gunas becomes the cause of liberation. And these two states can be compared to a lamp with a charred wick and the lamp with a fresh ghee-laden wick. Okay. Just as the lamp with a charred wick displays a smoky flame, and with a fresh ghee-laden wick displays a bright flame, similarly, the mind which is bound by the gunas takes shelter of the material conditions and material transformations. But when the same mind, when in touch with spiritual impressions in the association of Vaishnavas, it becomes qualified to experience the rasa, uh, that is Lord's sweetness. So then the question arises, what do you mean by the many conditions or transformations of the mind? He says, the mind has the tendency to experience sound, form, touch, etc. And the mind accomplishes this experience through the karmendriyas, the gyanendriyas, and the ahankar. Through the five karmendriyas, it performs the five activities. Through the gyanendriyas, it experiences the five tanmatras of rupa, rasa, sparsha, gandha, and shabda. And through the ahankar, it experiences the body and the objects belonging to the body, which the ahankar identifies as belonging to the self. So these are the 11 transformations of the mind. And the senses, these senses have their corresponding sense objects. Uh, And what is the sense object of the Ahankar? Ahankar has two sense objects, which is possessiveness of objects and then the body itself. The body becomes the cause of self-identification, and the objects and people connected to the body becomes the object of possessiveness, Mamakar. But then Jada Raguna clarifies, but there are not just 11 transformations of the mind, but due to variations in dravya or the objects, the swabhava of the living entity, the antakarana, the nature of the internal sense organ, karma and kala, according to the transformations of these five different factors, these 11 transformations of the mind becomes practically unlimited. And how they become unlimited? They become unlimited not by their own strength or their combined strength, but by the power of the Paramatma. But by the power of the Paramatma. Okay. So this is where we ended our discussion yesterday. Okay. So we have another 6 verses. So I will have a vote because these first 11 verses have been a little heavy verses. We have two options. Should we uh, pause for taking some more questions and then move on to the rest of the chapter, or should we, uh, cover the rest of the chapter, the other 6 verses, and then take questions? What is your, what is the need? What is the need of the devotees? What do you think would be appropriate? You can go to the chat box and give your. Okay. So I have devotees who have voted, and the votes are fairly even. Some devotees say, please cover the chapter and then questions at the end. And some devotees have mentioned that, you know, uh, take the questions first. I think the voting for covering the chapter is more. So let me cover the chapter first. Okay, questions at the end. Okay, thank you for voting, and I am following the opinion of the devotees. Okay, so no one should blame me. I took the vote, and I'm going to go ahead according to the vote. Okay. So, anyways, I will see if the discussion takes if these verses take longer, then I will pause and give sufficient time for discussion. We are not completely obliged to complete this chapter today just because it is a Friday. Okay. Okay. So Jadabharata continues. Kshetrajñayeta manaso vibhutir जीवस्य माया रचितस्य नित्याः आविर्हिता क्वापि तिरोहिताश्च शुद्धो विचष्टे ह्यविशुद्धकर्तुः. Kshetragya, the liberated jiva, Shuddha, who is free of samsara, Vichashte, impartially sees. So basically, Jadabharata is communicating to Rahuguna that Rahuguna understand that the principles which are applicable to a conditioned soul are not the principles which are applicable to a liberated soul. Okay. What you say is correct. The example of the milk and the pot and the rice and fire and everything is very perfect analogies. But those perfect analogies are applicable only to uh, the conditioned souls of this world. They are not applicable to the liberated souls. Now let me tell you the functioning of a liberated soul, which is very different from the functioning of the conditioned soul. He says, Kshetragya, in this case, the Kshetragya refers to the liberated soul. Shuddhaha. So this Shuddhaha qualifies the Kshetragya. Even though the word Kshetragya can refer to the conditioned soul, the liberated soul, and Paramatma also. Krishna says, Kshetragyam chapi mam viddi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Kshetra kshetragyayor jnanam yattad jnanam matam mama. So he says that I am also the Kshetragya, Krishna says. So the Kshetragya can literally refer to the conditioned soul, the liberated soul, and the super soul. But here, the usage of the word Shuddhaha indicates the liberated soul here. And this liberated soul, Vichashte. So he sees. So he is not identifying with the body and becoming an experiencer of material emotions, but he is just the observer. He is just the audience. Huh? So, kshetragya, shuddha kshetragya, this liberated jiva who is free of samsara, vichashte, he only impartially sees yetaha jivasya, the transformations of the covering on the jiva, manasaha, known as the mind. So he sees, oh, these are the transformations of the covering of the jiva. The jiva has a covering of gross body and subtle body, and the transformations which are happening are the transformations of the gross body and the subtle body. But because the jiva is identifying with the gross body, um, but because the jiva is identifying uh, with the gross body and the subtle body, he thinks that he is undergoing the transformations. Like that, the liberated jiva, vichashte, he impartially sees the transformations of the covering on the jiva, known as the mind. And what is the nature of this material mind? Vibhutir avishuddha kartuhu. This mind performs actions opposed to the Lord, or rather than performing, it inspires the soul to perform actions opposed to the Lord. Hmm. Maya rachitasya, and this mind is made of Maya. Yetaha, these transformations, nityaha, are without beginning. Avirhitaha kvapi tirohitascha, are sometimes visible and sometimes invisible. Again, the usage of the word nityaha indicates anadi. The conditioned soul's state of conditioning has been eternal. Nityaha. Okay. Eternally, these transformations of the mind or the subtle body or the material or the conditioned state are eternal. Nityaha. So the liberated jiva who is free of samsara impartially sees the transformations of the coverings on the jiva. He is not experiencing, he is just observing. This is the so therefore he says that therefore the example of the rice and the milk and the pot and the fire that you gave does not apply to the uh, liberated soul, because the liberated soul is not getting cooked in the hot milk, but he is just observing the milk becoming hot by being in the touch. being in touch with the um, fire or the hot pot. Okay, he is not actually uh, in the he is not actually in the milk getting heated. Okay, that is the point, that he is just observing it. So here he says the knower of the field is twofold, the Paramatma and the Jiva. The Paramatma was mentioned in the previous verse and will be explained in the next verse. The Jiva is of two types, conditioned and liberated. The conditioned Jiva was described as being embraced by the mind and thinking that he is the body in verse 6. So he identifies with the mind. He identifies with the mind and he is embraced with the mind, and he identifies with the mind, gross body and the subtle body. But the liberated Jiva is not embraced by the mind and has no false conception of his body. So the conditioned Jiva has been understood. Now, what is the liberated Jiva? The liberated Jiva, who is the knower of the field, knows Vichashte, knows the transformations of the mind, but does not identify with them and enjoy them. He does not identify with them and enjoy them. It is thus free of samsara, whereas the conditioned jiva is bound by samsara. The mind is the covering on the jiva because it is made of maya and performs impure actions which are against recognition of the Lord. Of course, the mind does not perform. Okay. The mind in itself cannot perform. So the mind performs means uh, the mind through the agency of jiva. The jiva performs actually. Influenced by the mind, the jiva performs. So the transformations of the mind have been present with the jiva without beginning. Okay. Again, so many places in Bhagavatam, this is very clear. The jiva's position in this material world has been eternal, the conditioned jivas. Okay. Why are they not visible at all times then? The question is, they are manifested during waking and dream state and invisible during sleep and at the time of universal devastation. Okay. At the time of deep sleep and during universal devastation, the transformations of the mind are not manifest. Only during dream state and waking up state, the transformations of the mind are manifest. Okay. क्षेत्रज्ञ आत्मा पुरुषः पुराणः साक्षात् स्वयं ज्योतिरजः परेशः नारायणो भगवान् वासुदेवः स्वमाययात्मन्यवदीयमानः. The Supreme Lord is the knower of all bodies, Kshetragya. And he is all pervasive, Atma. Purushaha, he has a human form. Puranaha, he is the cause of this universe. Swayam Jyotihi, he is self-revealing. Ajaha, he is without material birth. Pareshaha, and he is the Lord of all others. Okay. Narayanaha, he is Mahavishnu. And Vasudevaha, and he is also the master of Mathura and Dwaraka. Atmani Avadiyamanaha, and he is the object of meditation of the liberated jivas, Swamayaya, by his mercy. He is the object of meditation for the liberated jivas by his mercy. So here he is introducing Bhagavan. Bhagavan Kshetrajna Atma Purusha Purana Sakshat Swayam Jyotirajah Pareshah Narayano Bhagavan Vasudevaha Swamayayatmanyavadiyamanahu. The Supreme Lord is the knower of all the bodies. Kshetragyam chapi mam viddi sarva kshetreshu bharata. The Supreme Lord knows all the kshetras. He is all pervasive. He has a human form. He is the cause of the universe. He is self-revealing. He is without material birth. He is the Lord of all others. He is Mahavishnu, the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Master of Mathura and Dwaraka. He is the object of meditation of the liberated jivas by his mercy. So in this way, he describes the Supreme Lord. Then he continues. यतानिलस्तावरजङ्गमानाम् आत्मा स्वरूपेण निविष्ट ईशेत् एवं परो भगवान् वासुदेवः क्षेत्रज्ञ आत्मेदमनुप्रविष्टः यथा अनिलः just as air nivishta just as air enters stavara jangamanam all moving and stationary beings atma swarupena as the prana, it enters all moving and stationary beings, ishet and controls them. Uh, Just as air in the form of prana enters all the living entities and controls them, evam, in the same way, Paro Bhagavan Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, Kshetrajna, who is the knower of all the bodies, Atma, who is also pervading everywhere, Idamanu Pravishtaha, he enters this universe and controls this universe. Just as prana controls all the living entities, okay, just like prana controls all the living entities, the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, enters all the living entities and controls them. Okay, he enters all the living entities and controls them. Okay, so here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, the conditioned jiva absorbs himself in the conventional world of samsara. In what does the liberated jiva absorb himself? Okay. So he first differentiated the conditioned soul and the liberated soul. And now he says, okay, while the conditioned soul absorbs himself in the conventional world of samsara, in what does the liberated jiva absorb himself? He says, in this verse, the knower of the field refers to the Paramatma who knows all bodies completely. So, and then he explains this Paramatma. He pervades everywhere. He is the cause of the universe. He has the form of a human. He is self-revealing, devoid of material birth. He is the Lord of all others such as Brahma. He lies on the Karana ocean. He is full of six powers as the Lord of Vaikuntha. He is the son of Vasudev, the master of Mathura and Dwaraka. And he is the object of the mind for the liberated Jiva. Since he is completely free of Maya, or he is the object of meditation for the liberated Jiva because of his Swarupa Shakti or his mercy. The Lord is easily attained by the liberated Jiva. An example is given. Just as the air in the form of prana enters all beings and controls them, so the Lord enters this universe and controls this universe. Okay. So like that, you know, the 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 liberated soul was distinguished from the conditioned soul, and also the object of meditation of the liberated soul and the conditioned soul were clarified. Okay, the object of meditation of the conditioned soul is the samsara, And the object of meditation of the liberated soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in 2 verses, he described the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, in the next last section of this particular chapter, last 3 verses, he is going to describe about the deliverance of the conditioned souls from illusion. How the conditioned souls can be delivered from illusion. That's what he's going to talk about. Okay. So he says that न यावदेतां तनुभृन्नरेन्द्र विधूयमायां वयुनोदयेन विमुक्तसङ्गो जितसत्सपत्नो वेदात्मतत्त्वं भ्रमतीह तावत्. So he says, O king, O Narendra, yavad etat tanubrit, yavad, as long as, etat, this, tanubrit, the possessor of a body, which means the conditioned soul. As long as the conditioned soul, na veda atma tattvam, does not know the truth about the Lord. Here, Atma refers to the Lord. As long as the conditioned soul does not, just give me 1 second. As long as the jiva does not know the truth about the Lord, vidhuya mayam, after having destroyed maya, na vimukta sango, and is not freed of ignorance, vayunodayena, vayuna udayena, by the appearance of knowledge, jitashat sapatno, and conquering of the 6 senses, brahmati iha tavat, uh, he must wander in this material world. O king, as long as the jiva does not know the truth about the Lord after having destroyed maya, and is not freed of ignorance by appearance of knowledge and conquering of the 6 senses, he must wander in this material world. So, which means one thing is, if he does not know the truth about the Lord, there is no question of escaping samsara. Even after taking up to bhakti, unless by the practice of bhakti he comes to the level of complete freedom from ignorance and conquering of the 6 senses completely, he must wander in this material world. Okay. So he says, it has been said that the liberated jiva free from ignorance eternally has knowledge in the form of thinking of the Lord. But the jiva subject to ignorance, however, must perform sadhana to become free of ignorance. Whereas the liberated souls are eternally free from ignorance. Whereas a conditioned soul must perform sadhana to become free of ignorance. Okay. As long as one does not know the truth about the Atma or the Supreme Lord after destroying Maya and is not free of material association by the appearance of knowledge of the Lord, he will wander in this world. And then he continues. Nayavadetan mana atmalingam samsaratapa vapanam janasya yachokamoha mayaragaloba vairānubandam mamatam vidatte. Yavad manaha, as long as the mind, samsara tapa avapanam, which is the field of suffering in the material world. As long as the mind, which is the field of suffering in this material world, shoka, moha, amaya, raga, lobha, vaira, and which is the cause of lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, greed and enmity, atmalingam, and the covering on the jiva. So these are these are um, the descriptions of the mind. What is the mind? Mind is the field of suffering in the material world. It is the cause of lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, greed, and enmity. Atmalingam, and it is the covering of the jiva. As long as that mind, mamatam vidatte, as long as that mind has possessiveness of sense objects, na etad anubandham, it will not know about the Lord. So knowing of the Lord means um, is possible only when by a jiva who gives up possessiveness of objects of this world. Uh, As long as there is a sense of possessiveness towards objects of this world, people of this world, places of this world, such a person cannot know about the Supreme Lord. It is not possible. So, how does one know perfectly that Maya is removed? He says, as long as the mind is attached to sense objects, there will be no knowledge of Atma or removal of ignorance. Hmm. As long as the mind is attached to sense objects, that is stated in this verse. As long as the mind, the covering on the Atma, has possessiveness, it will not know about Atma. The mind, oh, what is the mind? The mind is the field for suffering in this material world. The suffering is described. The mind is the field from which arise lamentation, illusion, disease, attachment, and greed. The mind takes shelter of such things. Verse 8 mentioned that the mind tastes tattva, the Lord. The 5 verses starting from 12 have discussed this tattva. Last verse of this chapter. Okay. Bhratravyamenam tadadabraviryam upekshayadhyeditam apramattah guror hares charanopa sanastro jahivyalekam swayamatmamosham. Okay. So here, how do you overcome the influence of the mind? He says, first thing, upekshaya, by neglecting. This is something which definitely needs to be practiced. Learning to neglect the mind. Learning to neglect the mind means what? Mind will keep telling a lot of things. Okay. We cannot take the mind very seriously. We cannot take the mind very seriously, especially if it is telling something which is not in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So if it is telling things which are not according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then we have to understand that that mind is not our friend yet. So therefore, we should learn to neglect the mind. Hmm. So by neglecting, Bhratravyam enam adabraviryam. Hmm. Bhratravyam enam adabraviryam. Adabraviryam means extremely powerful, and Bhratravyam means enemy. By neglecting this enemy of great power, Adi Editam, which increases constantly in power. The mind, if we think that we have subdued our mind today, tomorrow the mind will become more powerful. We need more effort to subdue the mind. So it is not easy. Okay. So by neglecting this mind of great power, which increases constantly in power, and how we can neglect? Yea, by being attentive. By being attentive. Oh, this is mind playing its trick. Oh, this is mind playing its trick. By being attentive, uh, and not only that, be Harehe Charana Upasana Astraha, and possessing the weapon of bhakti at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hmm. And Guroho, and the mantra given by the Guru. Hmm. So, what is the uh, best way of dealing with the mind? He says neglect. But neglect is easier said than done. It is not easy to neglect the mind. Okay. It is not easy to neglect the mind. Okay. So now how do we neglect the mind? For that we need some help. Okay. We need some help. Okay. So there are three ways by which we can get the help to neglect the mind. What are the three ways? First thing is being attentive. Okay. Oh, understanding that the mind can attack at any time. Okay. Understanding that the mind can attack at any time, we have to be attentive of the mind. Okay. And second thing is possessing the weapon of bhakti at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hmm. Bhakti pareshanubhavo viraktir anyatra chaishatrika ekakala. So we will get the ability to reject the mind or neglect the mind if we possess the weapon of bhakti. So diligent practice of bhakti is another way. Okay. And the third is the mantra given by the Guru. By the power of the mantra given by the Guru, also one can actually get the strength to neglect the mind. So the best way of dealing with the mind is to neglect it. But neglect is easier said than done. Where will we get the strength to neglect? Because this is an enemy of great power and whose power increases day by day. So how do we get the power to neglect the mind? He says three things. First thing, attentive. Attentive means what? Anytime my mind can attack. Okay. And the second is by possessing the weapon of bhakti. And the third is by possessing the weapon of the mantra given by the Guru. By that, one gains the strength to neglect the powerful mind. And then he says, by this way, Jahivyalikam, conquer this enemy, Swayam Atmamosham, which steals the treasure of Paramatma. Jahivyalikam, Swayam Atmamosham. In this way, you uh, conquer the enemy which steals the treasure of Paramatma. This is what Jadabharata is telling uh, Rahuguna. Uh, so he says, therefore, one must capture the mind. Neglecting the mind, the enemy, one must attack it. Hmm. By neglecting it, it is defeated. So the more you take it seriously, the more it becomes powerful. Hmm. The more you take it seriously, the more it becomes powerful. The more you neglect it, the more it becomes weak. Hmm. So neglect is the best course of action to deal with the mind. But to neglect the mind itself needs lot of strength. And that strength comes from being attentive, uh, the weapon of bhakti and the weapon of the mantra given by the Guru. By that, one develops the strength to neglect the mind. One should not praise the mind by noticing it and giving it desired enjoyment. Hmm. One should not praise the mind by noticing it and giving it the desired enjoyment. However, hmm, however, the intention is not to destroy the mind completely, since the mind has already been described as the cause of elevation as well as degradation in verse 7, and as taking shelter of the Lord in verse 8. So, but the mind should not be destroyed completely because it is also the cause of liberation. Okay. And that is why the mind is addressed as Bhratravyam. Bhratravyam means the brother's son. Hmm. So one should not kill the brother's son, which means he has definitely, mind should not be killed. So how is the mind described? He says, it increases greatly by taking shelter of its transformations. The more and more the mind comes in touch with the Purva Vasanas, then the more it becomes powerful. Hmm. But how can I, who am weak, conquer the mind which is so strong? This question arises. Huh. So he says, one should have the weapon in the form of worship of the feet of the Lord as the 9 forms of bhakti and in the form of the mantra given by the Guru. Or one should have the weapon of worship of the feet of the Lord who is the Guru. Okay. So the mind is not a friend because it bewilders a person by showing its transformations and steals away the form of Paramatma, who is the treasure of life. So this mind is a great thief. He who makes his mind give up sense objects by the weapon of bhakti and having destroyed ignorance applies the mind to Krishna is called liberated. He who nourishes ignorance filled with impressions of desire and takes shelter of the transformations of the mind, since he lacks bhakti, is called conditioned. So one who takes shelter of bhakti and by the weapon of that bhakti destroys ignorance and applies the mind to Krishna, he is liberated. But he who nourishes the ignorance and takes shelter of transformations of the mind, because he lacks bhakti, he is called as conditioned. Okay. So to summarize this last section, we saw uh, here, he says, you have explained how the conditioned soul suffers samsara, being embraced by the mind. How does the liberated soul respond to the transformations of the mind? Okay. This contrast was brought out by Jadabharata. He said, the, the liberated soul impartially sees the transformations of the mind, which performs actions opposed to the Lord. So he is not identifying with the mind and is participating in this whole enjoyment. He is not identifying with the mind and participating with this whole enjoyment. He is rather uh, uh, impartially seeing the transformations of the mind. He does not identify with those transformations and enjoy them. The transformations of the mind are sometimes visible and sometimes not. Then he said, okay, I understand that the conditioned soul absorbs himself in the conventional world of samsara. In what does the liberated jiva absorb himself? He absorbs himself in the Supreme Lord, the Lord of Vaikuntha. And then he gives an analogy to explain this. Just as the air enters all moving and stationary beings as prana and controls them, in the same way, the Supreme Lord Vasudeva pervades everywhere and entering this universe, he pervades everywhere and controls this universe. Okay. So then he says, okay, I understand that the liberated soul is free of samsara as he is free of ignorance and eternally has knowledge in the form of thinking of the Lord. Till when does the conditioned soul wander in this samsara? Okay. Till when does this conditioned soul wander in this samsara? He says, as long as the jiva does not know the truth about the Lord, he must wander in this samsara. Now, the question is, how to identify a person who has acquired that knowledge? What are the symptoms? Two symptoms. Such a person has destroyed Maya and he is freed of ignorance by appearance of knowledge and conquering of the 6 senses. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udaropastha vegam, and so on. Then the next question is, how does one know perfectly that Maya is removed and the knowledge of the Lord has appeared? Uh, the symptom is that the mind is no longer attached to the sense objects. And finally, how to conquer this mind and take its attachment away from sense objects? The main thing is by neglecting the mind. Okay. So, by neglecting the mind. So, how does one get the strength to neglect the mind? First, by being attentive. Second, by possessing the weapon of bhakti. And third is by possessing the mantra given by the Guru. By this, one gains the strength to neglect the mind, and by neglecting the mind, one conquers the mind. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this chapter. Um, so we can open up for discussion now. So because we have completed this chapter, if even if we are unable to complete discussing all the questions today, then we can extend one session and discuss it on Monday also. Because this is a very heavy topic, very heavy chapter, even though it's a small chapter, but it's a very heavy chapter. Okay. So we will open up for questions. And then if there are still leftover questions, we will take them on Monday. Okay. So we still have about uh, yeah, about half an hour left for questions. Okay. Yes, Shivakumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Shivakumar Prabhu, are you speaking? I am not able to hear you.
Sorry, Prabhu, there was some issue in the audio. Can you hear
Are
me,
others
Prabhu?
able to hear Shivakumar Prabhu?
Can you hear me, Prabhu, now? I am able.
Oh, others are able to hear. I am only not able to hear. Oh, okay. I don't know what the problem is. Just give me 1 second. Oh, keep speaking, Prabhu. Keep speaking.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me now? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I will just get out of Zoom and get into Zoom. Okay, I am not able to hear. There is some problem. Just give me 1 second. I'll get out of Zoom and get into Zoom. It's not problem with my earphones. Yeah, it's problem with Zoom. Okay, just give me a second. Can you speak now, Shivakumar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Ah, yes, I can hear you now. Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
thank you, Prabhu. Well, thank you so much, Prabhu, for the session and sufficient time for Q&A. Prabhu, a couple of questions from yesterday, Prabhu, on the topic of understanding the senses and then the emotions generated by the uh, experience of sense objects.
Hmm.
So I'm starting with let me start with first question, Prabhu. If somebody is say donating blood,
Mm-hmm.
and for to save some life or as a service to some community,
Okay.
satisfaction that he gets,
Mm-hmm.
how do we look at understand the emotion, Prabhu, in the context of this discussion of the emotions are all generated by senses coming in contact with sense objects?
Yeah, I mean, senses coming in touch with sense objects need not necessarily be in mode of passion alone.
Hmm.
It can be in mode of goodness also.
Okay, okay.
So, some people, a passionate person um, gets pleasure by
mm,
enjoying himself in a
mm,
very gross way.
mm,
Whereas when a person moves to sattva more and more, then
mm,
the pleasure that he gets is more and more subtler. It may be in the form of uh, helping someone
mm.
and getting that satisfaction.
Okay, okay. Mm,
So
mm, mm.
yeah,
Okay, 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 great. Thank you. Brilliant answer. So there is some element of selflessness in it, but still you are saying it's in the mode of goodness, and that's also a kind of satisfaction to the senses itself.
yeah, yeah. Which
Okay,
is
okay.
not wrong. Which
Yes,
is not
Prabhu.
wrong.
Yes, Prabhu.
But nevertheless, it may be still on the bodily platform only.
Bodily platform. Exactly, Prabhu. That's what I am trying to understand. It's still on the bodily platform. Now, let me
Yeah.
take the second example, Prabhu. Yesterday, I brought it out. A mother's love and affection that she is showing for the child,
Mhm.
that is also uh, on the platform of bodily conception, Prabhu.
Without a doubt, you have any doubt about it?
Um, the selflessness that is exhibited in the
We are
mother.
not talking about selflessness, but it is on the bodily platform only, right? Do you think it's on the transcendental platform?
Hmm. That's where I am trying to understand, Prabhu. Are we saying Krishna has nothing to do with the affection that the mother is showering to the child?
Krishna has nothing to do means what? In what
Krishna,
sense? As the Paramatma, he is there in everyone's heart.
or
So that way he is.
yes,
Now,
Prabhu.
my only question is
Hmm.
why the mother is not showering the same love on the neighboring child?
Because we are limited, right, Prabhu? I am not as powerful as Krishna to shower love for every
It
living
is
entity.
not about powerful. It is because she identifies with the child only as
True,
her.
true. True, Prabhu. That is there. I am saying on top of it, I am also limited. I am saying I am not unlimited
Yeah,
as Krishna to shower love to the every entity that comes in the purview of my senses.
yeah, but it is not just a problem of being limited, but the
Mm.
desire is also not there.
True, true. True.
Okay.
But that is where this mode of goodness we are talking, right, Prabhu? I am at least going above the confine of my bodily conception that I am trying to help someone who is not bodily related to me.
Yeah,
Like I say, when I donate the blood and save someone, an army soldier is fighting to save the country. He
yeah.
is not related in any way blood relation or bodily relation, but still he is doing that as an selfless act. So I am trying to understand the selfless act in the mode of goodness.
Mhm.
Are you saying that that is still material and it has nothing to do with the love of God that we talk about, that we have as a goal on the path of bhakti?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is very good on the material platform,
Mm, okay.
but it is not definitely it cannot be it is not in the spiritual platform for sure,
Okay,
but it
okay.
is very good in the material platform without a
Mm,
doubt.
mm, Okay, okay, Prabhu. Okay, so you are saying it has nothing to do with spiritual, Prabhu. That's what we are saying. It's still materially it's higher, but has nothing to
Mhm.
do with spiritual.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, extending this
See, it
to
is just like it is
mm,
just like uh, someone
mm,
deserves a Nobel Prize for science.
mm,
So now you should not tell that, Arey, you should give him a Nobel Prize for peace also.
mm.
Okay. That is a different field. This is a different field.
Okay.
So just because he does not deserve a Nobel Prize for peace does
Mm,
not mean I will not give him a Nobel Prize for science also.
mm,
Definitely his work in science is commendable. So he
mm,
deserves a Nobel Prize for science. But
mm,
for that, you will ask me to give him a Nobel Prize for peace also. Now,
mm,
what has he done uh, for enhancing the peace?
mm,
That he has not done. But
mm,
just because he has not done anything to deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, that does
mm,
not mean I will deny him a Nobel Science Prize also. He deserves it, he will get it.
mm, mm,
So the same way,
mm,
now a soldier who is fighting for the country, of course, there is identifying bodily identification with the own country. He is not fighting for any other country. He is fighting for only his country. And that also, many of them, if the remuneration is not there, whether they will fight or not is a big question mark. I'm not taking anything away from them. Okay. Let's say it's all completely selfless. It is completely selfless on the bodily platform. So we will give them the credit for being selfless, but we will not give them the credit for being on the transcendental platform, which they are not. Okay. So we can give credit for what they deserve.
Okay, okay. Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. So let me extend this two scenarios, Prabhu, to another question. This is where I'm trying to contrast this. Now, let's say I'm trying to serve a devotee by making some prasadam. Now, we have discussed this, we have touched upon this in the past that I would cook something to the devotee's preference of whether he is a North Indian or South Indian. Within the South Indian, what kind of recipes, dishes he likes, and things like that, Prabhu. And we have also discussed this in terms of giving Sukruti that the appreciation of prasadam, for example, in this case, in this example, is very much dependent on the modes in which the devotee is right now situated.
Correct.
So, I'm not talking about Sukruti, but when it comes to even serving him, I have to serve him in the way that he likes it, which we also understand there is modes play in it.
Yeah.
So, given this, now how do we understand, Prabhu, this experience that I'm trying to give him by sharing Prasan, the experience that he has, is that spiritual or material, Prabhu, given these points?
Is that spiritual or material? It is spiritual.
Okay.
Because the end result is he will get Sukriti, which is not material, which is spiritual.
Okay.
So now it depends on how you uh, define spiritual or material. If you are telling that you are using a spiritual body, therefore you are using a material body, therefore it is material. If that is how you define material and spiritual, then it is material. But if you are talking about the end result of your endeavor, okay, if that defines whether it is material or spiritual, then the end result is spiritual because by that act of sharing prasadam, you are giving him Sukriti, which is not within three modes, which is beyond the three modes.
Okay, okay. But the
And
means.
your desire to do it, is to give him Sukriti, which is beyond three modes. That makes that desire also spiritual.
Okay, okay.
Even though the means involved may be material. Of course, you don't have spiritual means. Of course, prasadam is spiritual. You can say the plate is material. Yeah, but of course, the plate, because you are using it to serve prasadam, in that sense, it also becomes spiritual. Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So, because it is used for serving something spiritual, in that sense, by purpose, it becomes spiritual.
Okay, okay. Okay, Prabhu. So that's where I have this question, Prabhu. Now, when we discuss about this impersonal liberation, realization, we have discussed that the means is material, but the goal is spiritual. In our Are You Sure or Bhakti is Pure
The means
seminar.
is also not completely material. The means is also spiritual only, but it has some material attachments in the form of karma, jnana, yoga, which are actually not needed, and
Okay.
which are also, and so the means of impersonal liberation is not jnana, it is bhakti only. But the jnana is there
Okay.
only because the person is attached to it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, like
Okay.
it's just like a student who is attached to his uh, pen pouch. Okay, he's attached to his pen pouch, and he says, "I will take this pen pouch only to the exam because it is my favorite pen pouch." Okay, but ultimately he has to he can't do anything with the pen pouch.
Mm.
He has to write with the pen only.
Mm.
The exam has to be written with the pen.
Mm.
Okay. But
Mm.
because he is attached to the pen pouch he's taking. But
Mm.
the success of his exam comes from he's
Okay.
using the pen to write the exam.
Mm.
So in
Mm.
the same way,
Mm.
you know, some people are attached to
Mm.
black pouches in the form of karma. Some
Mm.
people are attached to white pouches in the form of jnana. Some
Mm.
people are attached to yellow pouches in the form of yoga.
Mm.
But ultimately, the pen inside is in the form of bhakti that only writes the exam.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So it's not that. So when we say that the means in Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, etc., the means is material,
Mm.
but the end is spiritual. This is not correct.
Mm.
Actually, the means is also spiritual, the end is also spiritual.
Mm.
Just that the pouch which carries that pen,
Mm.
that may be material.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Okay. But eventually that pouch will be given up.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, the pouch does not write the exam, and you don't
Mm.
need the pouch to write the exam. Without the pouch, also, if you take just the pen inside, you
Mm.
can get your job done.
Mm.
That is
Mm.
what we say, akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradihi
Mm.
tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So, what with tivra bhakti,
Mm.
whether you are an akama
Mm.
devotee or a moksha kama jnani
Mm.
or a sarva kama karmi,
Mm.
all of that only by practicing tivrena bhakti yogena you can achieve it. Yat
Mm.
karmabir yat tapasa jnana vairagyatascha
Mm.
योगेन दान धर्मेण श्रेयोभिर इतरैरपि सर्वं मद्भक्ति योगेन मद्भक्ता लभते अंजसा.
Mm.
So Krishna says all
Mm.
of that can be achieved just by practice of bhakti.
Mm. Mm.
So you really don't need a pouch.
Mm. Mm.
All you need is a pen.
Mm.
So when
Mm.
you enter the examination hall,
Mm.
the invigilator says that, okay, because there is a chance of copying and cheating,
Mm.
leave all your pen pouches out, take
Mm.
only your pen inside to
Mm.
write the exam.
Mm.
Okay. So you leave the pouch outside. Why do
Mm.
you leave the pouch outside? Because you don't need it
Mm.
and you never needed it.
Mm. Mm.
But because you are attached to the pouch, you are carrying it all around. And
Mm.
when the right time comes, you leave the pouch behind, take only the pen inside and write the exam and pass the exam. That's all.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. This helps. So one last question, Prabhu, on this topic. Now let's say I have a favorable exchange with a family member who happens to be a devotee.
Okay.
Now, so it is not a pure, uh, non-devotee relationship. In case if the family member happens to be a non-devotee, then we are saying whatever the emotions that are exchanged, it's on the bodily platform. But when
Mhm.
it comes to devotees exchange, it becomes spiritual because Krishna is involved.
Yeah.
Now, when we have a family member who happens to be a devotee, the
Mhm.
exchange that we have
Mhm.
is that a mix of spiritual and material, Prabhu?
It could be.
Hmm.
It could be.
Hmm.
Um, See, uh, it could be.
Hmm.
Even though at the level of Shraddha, it is spiritual, but
Hmm.
at the level of Swabhava,
Hmm.
it can be material.
Hmm.
And because we may act stimulated by our Shraddha and Swabhava at various points of time, it
Hmm.
could keep shuttling back and forth between material and spiritual like that.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
But ultimately, it is the very same as the struggle of a sadhaka,
Hmm.
in this tug of war between Shraddha and Swabhava.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
because he's a devotee and the relative is a devotee, he knows
Hmm.
that my interaction should be only for the purpose of bhakti. But because of the conditioning, they end up engaging in exchanges which are on the material platform.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Even though both of them know that this is not the highest standard
Hmm.
and we should improve the standard. But
Hmm.
still, because of their conditioning, they
Hmm.
may end up engaging uh, in conversations and exchanges with each other
Hmm.
purely from a material affection or material irritation or frustration perspective.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for all answers. It helps, Prabhu. Enlightening answers as always. I'll again contemplate and listen to it and maybe come back with few more questions, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Right. Yes, Keshav Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First of all, thank you for this analogy you used, this pouch, Prabhuji. 100 times we have heard, even a Dhyana Yogi, at the finally he has to give up his Dhyana also means it was just theory. I mean, I was not able to picturize it, but today with this analogy, what actually it means that pen is important. That is why we're giving up the pouch is quite relatable, Prabhuji, to understand that last stage. And Prabhuji, my question today is regarding mind control. Like we have to neglect the mind with the three methods given here, Prabhuji. Practically, mind is a software that drives us to do the hardware. Like all our activities we do with mind's instruction, Prabhuji. So
Yeah.
when it comes to the point that neglect the mind and do something, though theoretically it looks very nice, Prabhuji. Oh, just neglect the mind and do. But practically, when I try to implement, I am getting bewildered most of the times, Prabhuji. So, what is your? Can you please elaborate practically? This is theoretically. I mean, all these three. I mean, be attentive and do bhakti and follow the mantra given by the guru. The answer is given already, Prabhuji. So I want to have some practical your insights on this, Prabhuji. How practically as a sadhaka I can do this, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the instructions given have been most practical
Mm,
because by practicing, but see, the ability to neglect comes, the more we are detached, the more we can neglect the material mind.
mm,
So that detachment comes as a natural byproduct of bhakti.
mm,
So when we practice bhakti, it's not that now I practice bhakti, next moment I should be able to neglect the mind. It's not like that.
mm, mm,
You know, it is a very diligent practice over many, many years and decades. And by that, gradually the purification happens. With the purification, the detachment comes. And with the detachment, one gets the strength to neglect the mind.
oh,
So it is a very, very slow, gradual process.
oh,
It's not like, okay, just, but one thing is we can be attentive. Like in chanting,
mm,
we are trying to be attentive.
mm, mm,
Okay, when the mind is going away, okay, these are the things. Okay, these are the places where if I sit and do chanting, I get most distracted. Okay,
mm,
these are the times of the day when I chant, when I get most distracted. These are the people with whom when I move around, I get most distracted. This is being attentive.
mm,
Anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam. Is it anukul or pratikul? Is it anukul or pratikul? This is
mm,
attentive. And the
mm,
second, so this is something where we can see some immediate result. But the next two are they will give only very gradual results.
mm,
So it's due to gradual purification. Uh, So it is just like you know they give you vitamin B12 and vitamin D injections or medicines. If today you go and check your do a blood test and get your vitamin B12 checked and it shows a very low value, and then they will give you some supplements. It's not that you pop in one tablet and then go and check and your vitamin
yeah,
B12 will significantly improve.
sure.
It is a very gradual thing. You have to keep on taking it over a long periods of times and gradually it may improve. So it's like that. So um, with the more and more we progress on the path of bhakti, to that extent we will develop detachment. And when we develop detachment, then we develop the strength to neglect the mind like that.
So unless we develop detachment, we cannot separate our mind from from us, Prabhuji, like that you're telling now.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah.
So okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Correct. Yes, Sham Sundaranand Prabhu.
Not Pranam. I
Dandavat.
think we discussed this many times. Um, just as you are just saying that we need to be attentive, right? We know
Mhm.
all the instructions for chanting. We have to uh, uh, have a certain place. Some funnily, I just got Baldev Prabhu's answer once. I'm not getting determination to practice. So he said, act determined, like
Mhm.
have determination. I mean,
Mm.
just jokes apart.
Mhm.
When I sit to chant, I
Mhm.
know that what I should do and what I should not do, but
Mhm.
my mind deliberately wants to go towards the wrong side, and
Mhm.
it wants to maybe the desire springing because I am not, perhaps I am not either, I am not fully convinced that this is the thing which I have to do, or whether it is my past conditioning which is clouding my, like that small desire to uh, chant properly or what.
Mhm.
It is not only for chanting; it is for everything which is for the sadhana. We
Yeah.
have to come out of it. So
Yeah.
how do we? I mean, what is the solution for this? I know that this is wrong. I should not do, but
Mm.
still I do it anyway.
Yeah. See, the same question Arjuna also asked. Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushah. Anichanapi varshneya baladiva niyojitah. Same thing.
Mm,
Okay. Krishna says, Kamayesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhavan, Mahashano, Mahapapma, Vidyenam iha Vairinam. He says it is lust or material attachment only. And then what is the way of addressing it? Krishna says, Tasmatvam Indriyanyadau Niyamya Bharata Rishabha. Papmanam Prajahihyenam Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. So he says that yes, there are these three residence places of lust, mind, intelligence, and senses. Of the three,
keep it.
uh, to address the mind is directly is the most difficult. You cannot directly address the mind, but you have to start by addressing the senses, which means um, it is, uh, you cannot, to force the mind is difficult, but to force the senses is easier. Okay. So, uh, so therefore you can always make the mind uh, give senses favorable engagement, and when the senses get favorable engagement, then naturally um, it is possible that because the food for the mind comes from the senses, so some little amount of detachment we have to have. It's not like I am completely, I cannot do even a small thing which is right. The very fact that we are sitting and chanting, which
Mm,
itself the materially conditioned mind will actually kind of protest against. Okay. It means that we have some determination. It's not like we don't have any determination. So
mm,
here, the very fact that we are talking about attentive chanting and not chanting itself, it
mm,
means that we have some determination to do something right, and
mm,
that is very good, and we have to utilize that little available determination in the right way. Like for example, if we have if the if the hospital if we are injured and the hospital is 2 kilometers away, okay,
mm,
but if the house of my and I have energy to walk only 100 meters, there is
mm,
no way I can walk 2 kilometers to reach the hospital.
mm,
Okay. But I have energy to walk 100 meters,
mm,
okay, maximum. And 50 meters away from where I got injured, there is the house of my well-wisher.
mm,
So what I have to do? I don't have to have energy to uh, walk 2 kilometers till the hospital. All I need is to walk till the house of my well-wisher and take help. That's all.
mm,
So we may not have determination to to chant attentively, to do the right things all the time. But we may have some determination to take help at least. And that much determination we should have. So the beauty of bhakti is that we don't have to personally possess everything. Everything can be borrowed. Everything can be borrowed. We can attain success by borrowed whatever. Krishna will not penalize us for that. That is why association is given so much importance in bhakti. And Krishna never says, if everything you do by association, then what is to your credit? Krishna does not say like that. Okay. So, therefore, all that we need to have is to have that little bare minimum determination to at least seek some help and take some help. And with this understanding that Krishna is not going to penalize me for borrowing anything from others. So the point is, you have to reach the destination. Okay. If Krishna is not telling that, okay, you are sitting with 5 other people and chanting attentively, what is to your credit? Every credit goes to them only. I will not give you any credit. Krishna does not say that. Krishna says, you have to chant attentively, whatever it takes, maybe by your own strength or by borrowed strength. Krishna will not penalize you. You copy the paper and submit the paper, or you write it yourself. Okay? Doesn't matter. You write an open book exam or a closed book exam, I will not penalize you for that. The answer sheet should have the answer. That's all. That's what Krishna is telling. Okay. So, therefore, why do we have to really bother about, I mean, in one sense, if you see, application of this principle is again difficult. I agree with this point. But at least the principle should be understood that Krishna is not going to penalize us for anything that we borrow on the path of bhakti. So, whatever we cannot do it ourselves, we can do it by the help of others. So, therefore, the only thing, if there is little bit of determination that we have, that little bit of determination should be used to make good quality Krishna conscious friendships. That's all. Okay. So you may not have the energy to go to the hospital. Just if you have sufficient energy to just reach a good friend's house, which is just right next or close by, that is good enough. He will take you to the hospital. And the doctor will not say that, hey, you did not come to the hospital yourself, so therefore I will not treat you. He will not say that. Whoever brings you to the hospital, the doctor is going to treat you. So if we have bare minimum determination, then that bare minimum determination we can use for taking help. That is the only thing that we need to do, nothing else.
Yes, Lord. Beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lord.
Hare Krishna. So I know we have 2 hands up and there are a few more questions in the chat box. I really apologize. So what we will do is Monday's session, those of you who have written questions on the chat box, please copy paste that question with you on your WhatsApp or somewhere. And those who are raising your hands, please, we will take it on Monday. On Monday, I will do a quick recap of the chapter. And then we will open up for some questions and discussion points. And then, okay, Sachipuran Prabhu says that he just needs 1 minute to add to the answer. Yes, Sachipuran Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Prabhu.
I had the same question just recently to Guru Maharaj. He came to hospital and I was having an opportunity to ask questions. And as Maharaj, you are so much determined from the beginning. His journey home, we have seen that before coming to Krishna consciousness, and I have seen so much, strong determination. How is it? And I don't have determination only. So Maharaj given very beautiful answer. Just I want to share. Maharaj said ki Krishna has given determination to each one of us, and we have to choose that determination. And then he, after say few minutes, he said, when few devotees were asking Prabhupada that I don't have determination to do things, the Prabhupada say, if you don't have determination, act with determination. So both the things he said, ki, how to determination is given by Lord only. So Lord gives the determination to each one of us, but we don't choose that determination. That's only maybe because of our difficulties or all these things. But if don't have, then act with determination.
Yeah.
So this is
Yes.
that just recently had just 4 days back, 5 days back.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I think we should pause here. We will continue this discussion on Monday. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.